It is hot, and there's not a lick of nudity in it.
No.
But you need to remind yourself that this is a niece uncle situation.
You must remind yourself.
You have to. Don't forget.
As soon as you find yourself going, oh yeah. No.
What do you know about two certified bankers? PhantasmaCast.
Welcome back to PhantasmaCast. I'm Derek.
And I'm Jake.
And today we'll be talking about everyone's favorite uncle,
Uncle Charlie.
This double feature we cooked up for you today covers Shadow of a Doubt from 1943 and Stoker from 2013. Two films that depict the perfectly healthy and completely normal relationship between a niece and her uncle. But first, Jake, what are you buying? What have we bought recently?
Oh, man. Okay, so you know how a couple episodes ago, like, you had the big list?
Yep.
It's my turn.
Okay.
As all of the boutique heads out there know, literally every label had a sale in July.
Yeah.
They all did their summer sales.
Big summer blowout.
Criterion, Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome had one. There were some sales on Diabolic and a lot of like pre-sales that were happening for some really good shit too. I'll start with like literally the one that I'm like the most excited about.
Yeah.
Actually the two, because earlier this year I had been looking for The Hitcher, and I couldn't for the life of me find it anywhere on Blu-ray. I actually don't think that it does have a Blu-ray release.
And I believe you because I know you've been looking.
So I got the DVD, and it actually looks trash. Like it does not look good at all. I think I remember texting you a screenshot of it, and I was like, this does not look good at all.
Yeah.
But Second Sight is actually releasing a 4K version of it. Second Sight is the company that did the Dawn of the Dead release in the UK. But you know, we're able to play the 4K version of it here in the States. So
Yes.
But as far as I know, The Hitcher Second Sight 4K is region free. So I picked that up, and I'm very excited about it. There's a huge
Congrats.
box set. It didn't, and then you looked into it. I didn't. I don't know what comes with it. I just bought it. But
You just said, yes, add to carts. Please get here now.
take my money, please. But you pointed out that it comes with like a little mini screenplay.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah. And like all of the artwork is like really consistent with it. It's like the screenplay has a beautiful little cover with it. I think it's got a couple little postcard type deals in it too. So I was like, yeah, I like The Witcher. The Witcher. Fuck it. No, that stays in. That stays in. I like The Hitcher.
Do you want to talk about The Witcher now?
No. Maybe on another episode. No, I like The Hitcher too, but like you love The Hitcher. You're The Hitcher's biggest defender. So they made this just for you. So I'm glad you picked that up. And
Yeah,
found it.
it was instantly like, I'm gonna buy this before it goes out of stock.
Yeah.
Like I almost bought a second copy just to have that. But then very similar story with my second pick. I had been looking for this movie on Blu-ray, couldn't find it. I one day found this like really cool box set of it on DVD at Zia, but Caligula, which I will spoil for everyone. I do want to do a Caligula episode eventually. So it's out there. I've said it. Sorry, Derek, we're committed. But Draft House Films is putting out a Caligula 4K and Blu-ray. So I picked that up. I have never seen it, but I learned about Caligula in freshman year of college. That's how long I've been waiting to watch this movie. So yeah, that's going to be a good time. A lot of box sets in this.
You also said a few episodes ago that that's the only thing that does it for you now. And here you are putting proof to that.
Arrow put together a box set of 2 movies that I think I have like hated for a long time.
Interesting.
I think
Spite by.
I think they're movies that were meddled with by the studios quite a bit, and like they could have been really good movies, but they just like too much studio, like it needs this, it needs this, it needs this, and just, you know, they fucked up the editing of it. I think so. Let me tell you what the movies are.
Yeah, what are
When Titans Ruled the Earth is what the box set is, but it's a box set of Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans.
Okay. There was an original Wrath of the Titans? Or is this like the more recent?
These are the Sam Worthington movies.
Oh,
yes. You're like, why?
yes.
Exactly.
That sounds like I hate Sam Worthington, but I think I would agree with you of like they could have been really good.
Yeah.
But they're probably okay, but I'll rewatch them with you, obviously.
Yeah, and that's really the biggest reason I wanted to get this is I wanted to give those movies a second chance.
Okay.
And I'm holding out hope that there's like a director's cut in there somewhere that maybe we could see more of the original intention of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I heard that Clash of the Titans had what was it? Danny Houston plays Poseidon in the movie, and they cut out all of the Danny Houston stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I think you see him.
Who did he piss off?
Exactly. Right. So it's like if you're gonna cut out all of the Danny Houston shit in a movie, you don't know how to make a movie.
You're like, get off.
Yeah.
Get off the set. Get out of the studio system.
You've lost your card.
Do you know who his father is?
So yeah, I want to give those movies a second chance. And you know, maybe in my ripe old age of 32, my heart's softened a little bit to the, you know.
Yeah. on the further end of 32, 33. Yeah. I agree. It's hard to forgive and forget some things.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Before we move on to your other picks, that is a cool fucking title for the box set.
When Titans Rule the Earth.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah. And then
even
the cover,
Danny Houston might see it and go, hey, what's this shit?
Oh, I was in that.
Oh.
Wonder if they put me back in. So, you know, I don't think that's come out yet. It's on pre-order, but, you know, we'll set up a night where we can watch it. Maybe we can make that a double feature too.
Hey, you said it. You said it.
It'll be a tale of redemption.
It's our shortest episode ever. Well, they were right. These still suck.
Next one, another fucking box set. I'm sorry. I spent one of my kidneys this month.
Don't apologize for being who you are.
I got after many Criterion sales, because as we know, Criterion has its 50% off sale on its site, but then Barnes & Noble also does a 50% off.
Yeah, they're like, we'll honor it, but then they're kind of dicks, and they're like, you don't get that Barnes & Noble membership 10% discount either. Do you think we're idiots? Do you think we love bleeding money?
I think I ruined that dream for you because you were like, yeah, of course you would get it. And then I was like, oh, look at this sticker.
I'm like, I'm a member. They got to give it to me. Look at the sticker. What the fuck?
So yeah, Criterion had its sale. And I finally, after many sales of being like, oh, I want it, I finally pulled the trigger and got the Godzilla Showa era films.
Yeah.
Gotta admit, I have never really been the biggest Godzilla fan, but lately Brittany and I have been watching the MonsterVerse Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
and we're fucking fans. So,
Okay.
so I was like, let me go back and catch up on this like pedigree of Godzilla films that are out there.
Yeah. And it's I can't help but notice it on your shelf here. It's like a big booklet.
It looks, yeah, it's like a big book, and it's got 10 films in it, I believe.
Okay.
I haven't opened it, it's still in the plastic.
Yeah. It's cool. It's bigger than the Persona. I mean I see the cover of
The
Persona.
Ingmar Bergman's cinema one.
Yeah.
They I don't know whether to respect or deride it, but they do not make, very consistent releases. If their Train Spotting release is any indication.
Oh man, yeah. Just the 4K though. Mm-hmm. That's weird. Yeah.
Continuing the Wim Wenders, I hope I'm saying his name right. Wim Wenders or Wim Wenders. He's German.
You covered both bases.
I'll edit out one later.
Just add it like a sir or a mister.
Sir Wenders. I got Paris, Texas. Again, total blind buy, but I'm on the Wim Wenders train. Got Criterion's 1984, which I actually watched the other day. It's good. It's so well made. Cool. And made on a budget too. Produced by Virgin, what's his name? Richard Branson?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Virgin Airlines guy.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like produced by Virgin, and I'm like trying to think of famous virgins. I'm like blank.
No, yeah, the Virgin Airlines guy put up the money to make 1984, which is just very ironic to me.
Yeah. That's right up there with Caligula being funded by Penthouse.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right.
And they were getting their money from interesting places in the 80s.
Yeah. There's either the people that are like, why do I care?
Mm-hmm.
And then the people are like, well, that's interesting. And I think that's interesting crowd. Tune in.
Yeah.
Keep tuning in.
Inland Empire, David Finch's, one of his later movies.
You said David Finch.
Motherfucker.
It's okay.
David Finch. David Finch's Inland Empire. Okay. Inland Empire. Inland Empire, Criterion's release of David Finch. I know nothing about this movie other than that it was the factoid that you gave me is that it was shot on DV tape.
Yeah.
So Mulholland Drive is confuses me, and I'm scared of it as a movie. So Inland Empire and Lost Highway are two movies that I'm scared to watch because I'm scared I won't get them. But David Finch. David Finch tells you.
This episode is brought to you by David Finch.
David Finch will tell you you don't have to get them.
I laughed so hard my contact fell out. It's on my fucking cheek. No, I dropped it.
I am not allowed to say the words David Finch again.
Okay.
I'm moving on from that.
Wait, if we didn't want to move on real quick though, I am
say we didn't. Say we didn't.
Have you ever thought about David Finch?
Just 5 more minutes.
No. But like, okay. On that note about like being afraid of them as movies,
yeah.
I am also kind of afraid of Inland Empire and Lost Highway for like the same way. I think in the same vein that you're afraid of Mulholland Drive, because I've seen Mulholland Drive twice.
Yeah.
The first time I was like, "Fuck this, David Lynch." Like you're a very frustrating man sometimes.
Watching a David Lynch movie is like feeling a sneeze coming on and you're ready for it, and then it goes away. You know, you know it's good, but you can't quite grasp it. You know, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, you feel a sneeze coming on, and then like your neighbor dies, and you're like, "What does that have to do with anything?"
Yes,
but I feel like I caused that maybe.
Whew. This was an upgrade of a movie that I already have. Flesh for Frankenstein.
Yes.
They had the 4K regular release, but then they Vinegar Syndrome did a box set. So I got the box set,
cool.
And it looks super cool on the shelf. Yeah. Also from Vinegar Syndrome, something I've been wanting to nab for quite a while, a 6-String Samurai, which has a special place in my heart because it was the first movie that my buddy Doug and I watched together.
Cool.
Or one of the first that like stuck in our memories. It's like weird. It's like post-apocalyptic Buddy Holly with samurai swords. I can see your brow furrow.
Yeah, I'm like, post-apocalyptic and Buddy Holly were not words I thought would be in the same sentence.
Exactly, but they made this movie.
Okay.
So it's been quite a while since I've seen that. Want to get another look at it.
Cool.
Arrow had a sale as well. Picked up Horror Express because there's something to be said about those, like, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, team ups.
Yeah.
In the 70s. So I wanna watch that. I wanna be in a perfect mood for that kind of movie and get down on it.
Cool.
Basket Case has been on my list for a while. Wild Things.
Yeah.
I discovered Brittany has never seen Wild Things.
Oh.
So like that's just a great movie to show someone blind.
Yeah.
Because they do not expect how sexy it is.
No.
And then I picked up the Arrow Barbarella box set, which is just a fantastic piece of art in itself. So that's it for me. What did you get, Derek?
So first on my list is Big Business with Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler, the one where they're twins.
I think I've seen that movie when I was like, I think I saw that one. I have no idea what it's about.
That's crazy that you've seen it. And I haven't, but
we'll put it up there on the list next to Carpool.
yeah, or interdimensional Jake childhood cable. But yeah, this one was recommended to me, so I saw it, said, okay, this is a sign, got it. I also participated in the Criterion sale, so I picked up Bound.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. I fell in love with Bound very recently, like a year and a half ago. I'm just like, wow, the Wachowskis. They've always had it, huh?
You still need to show that to me.
Yes.
Like, I'm very interested in watching it. Gina
Gershon. And wow, why am I blanking?
Meg Tilly or
Jennifer Tilly.
One of the Tillys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I picked that up. I already had a version of it, which is no longer in print, but this had a 4K of it.
So you're keeping both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping both. And it was Bill Pope. Bill Pope shot it, who ended up doing The Matrix. He's just a great cinematographer too. It was a Bill Pope approved 4K.
Oh, fantastic.
So I was like, all right,
gotta see what that looks like.
And then continuing with the Criterion sale pickups, I got The Trial, which is an Orson Welles movie with Anthony Perkins.
That scene, like that subject matter and Orson Welles making it feels like a match made in heaven.
Yeah. He's like, you know who's been persecuted? Me. Let me vent about it, but in an artistic way. So it's gonna be cool. Never seen it. I know it's gonna be good though. Speaking of never seen, but I know is gonna be good, Malcolm X.
Okay.
Got the Criterion 4K of that too, which just feels like the right thing to get during a Criterion sale when it's a $50 movie normally.
Right. Speaking of like movies that like we're intimidated by, I've always been intimidated to watch Malcolm X because when it was on VHS, I think it was a double cassette
Yeah.
VHS. So I was always just like, man, that's a long movie. But I mean, Criterion, Spike Lee, it's got to be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Another one I picked up is Love Lies Bleeding.
You texted me a picture of that, and it is one of the sexiest physical releases I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's just some attention was paid to it. And it's the follow-up movie from Rose Glass. So we've seen Saint Maud.
Yes.
And we really liked that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, then this is going to be good too. Because the trailer to me also said, this is the Bound for our age.
Ooh,
Just,
okay, yeah.
Just two badass ladies doing shit and also madly in love with each other. So I'm like, cool. Yes. Got that 4K.
The trailer made that movie just look sweaty and sexy and tense.
Yeah. I think when you think sweaty, I'm also thinking the same image. Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Yes. With whatever that hair is.
That's
a crazy hairstyle, but I love it. And Ed Harris just makes things better by being in it. And then lastly, Lisa Frankenstein. One of the first things we ever mentioned on the podcast.
Exactly.
What do you know about Lisa Frankenstein? Well, what do I know? I know that I own it now. And I'm going to check it out eventually because, yeah, these were mostly blind buys, except for Bound.
You got to have your blind buys. At a certain point in your journey, you're just going to start pivoting to blind buys because, like, there's only so many times you can watch movies you've already watched before.
Yeah, your thing, box sets.
Yeah.
My thing, blind buys.
So the movies we watched this week are Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt and Park Chan-wook's Stoker.
Correct.
And we're calling this episode Uncle Charlie because of the similarities that these two movies have. So Derek, what are these similarities? Why did we pick these two movies?
Yeah, the similarities you called out. There's an Uncle Charlie featured heavily in both of them. And there's like this intrigue with his relationship with his niece. And
I love that you use a word as sterile as intrigue because there's a lot going on there.
Oh yeah, we will unpack that intrigue. But these first, let's back it up. Let's start at the very beginning. I first saw Shadow of a Doubt when I was in college, and it was right after I saw The Light. The Light being that movies from the 40s, maybe even the 30s, could kick ass still.
Right.
And that was after I was shown It Happened One Night in a class, and that's from 1934. And I was thinking, oh, geez, okay, film history, gotta watch it. It's going to probably be a snooze. Nope. I loved that thing. I still think about it. I own the Criterion of it. It's amazing.
I think you and I maybe had the same class because I also saw It Happen One Night in college.
Yeah.
And it was it was one of the movies, I don't know if it was the one, but like it was in that time of like, holy shit, movies from the 30s can be funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, love it.
As opposed to just nasally and transatlantic, blah, 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 you know? This, yeah, it could be funny, it could be dynamic, it could just be everything that we love about current movies. So I was like, cool. So then I found Shadow of a Doubt because then I started getting interested in Hitchcock, and Psycho and The Birds weren't doing it for me anymore. That's the 60s. That's later Hitchcock.
You need deeper cuts.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, let's check out 1943's Shadow of a Doubt because it's been widely regarded as Hitchcock's personal favorite. And I watch it and I'm like, yeah, this is good. Just about this relationship with, again, intrigue of a Uncle Charlie with some secrets coming back to town, and his niece is like, oh, hey, Uncle Charlie, we're good to see you, but he got secrets, and that's what the whole movie is about, is like their back and forth. But I also just love busting out Shadow of a Doubt when I get to meet another film geek out in the wild. I'm just be like, oh yeah, but 1943 Shadow of a Doubt, am I right? And just seeing if they know or if they're about to know. They're about to see the light too. And then for Stoker, that popped up on my radar when it was released because I was already a Park Chan-wook fan. It's 2013. I feel like that's the height of Park Chan-wook's popularity, at least for me. So I'd already, done my due diligence and seen JSA, Joint Security Area, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, Lady Vengeance, and Thirst. Still haven't seen I don't know if you've seen it, but I still haven't seen I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay.
I have not seen it. No.
I think for a reason. I don't think it ever got an American release. So I want to excuse our ignorance of that by saying we're Americans, sorry. But when the trailer for Stoker dropped and they were like, Uncle Charlie this, Uncle Charlie that, I was like, no way. Could it be? And sure enough, it was. It's basically a spiritual successor to Shadow of a Doubt. But from 1943 to 2013, that's great. And yeah, I thought it would be interesting to go over like what elements still hold up from each movie, what Stoker ends up borrowing or revamping for a more current audience, and how both still are relevant and like testaments to like each auteur that like led those movies. So Hitchcock and Park Chan-wook.
I'm a little jealous of you that you were such a Hitchcock head that you had seen Shadow of a Doubt, and so you went into Stoker with the knowledge of what it was.
Arms folded going, yup.
Hey, did you guys know? But I also saw Stoker in college based solely off of the fact that Park Chan-wook had made it, because I was a huge fan of Old Boy. And I had seen Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. I don't think I had seen Lady Vengeance at the time, but I had seen Thirst as well. So like I went into it with those three movies going, I know I'm going to get an interesting movie, and interesting it is.
Yes. Like intrigue, we'll unpack that
later.
But for now, let's start with Shadow of a Doubt. So we start with high suspense right away, right? Let's just go over like basic plot stuff, to get people in the know for what we're eventually going to talk about. But we start with very high suspense with our Uncle Charlie. It does like a really good job of showing you that he's wanted by the law, and without outright saying what for.
Because it's that scene where he's laying on the bed, and his like landlady comes in, and she's like, "These guys were looking for you, but I told them that you weren't here."
Which is such a thing of its time, right? No one's really coming into your apartment while you're laying on the bed and being like, "Hey, I did a thing. There was some fellas outside asking about you. I told them to kick rocks." That doesn't happen anymore. But that's an antiquated like little element that I love about it.
And when I saw that, I first was like, "Oh, he's in trouble with like the mob or something." I didn't immediately get the thought that they were cops that were looking for him. You just get this general sense that he is in trouble and being pursued by somebody, right?
He's in the right somehow. Like he's just a victim of his circumstances. He's gotta clear his name or whatever. But as we later learn, that's not the case. So he shakes his tail and he decides to go back to his sister's hometown, Santa Clara, I think, California.
Right. So we're in New York when the movie starts, right? And he decides, I'm gonna hightail it to Santa Clara, California, and stay with my sister.
Yeah, and he sends a telegram. Again, another thing from the 40s that's just awesome.
He sends a telegram, and then people at the telegram company call his sister's house.
Telegram here for you.
Exactly. Like they didn't have a national. You couldn't call long distance back in the day. You had to send a telegram, and then they had to call you. I think that's indicative of the time and really cute, and I like it.
Yeah, but that's really the only like plot we get in the beginning, is that he's wanted. We don't know why, but then through the telegram of him, and we start establishing some relationships. It's great. Cut to a little later, we get our other high-profile character, young Charlie, his namesake, his niece, and we find her in, I think, what you called like a malaise, right? Want to describe that? What's that? What's her malaise that she's got going on?
Yeah, I would absolutely describe it as a malaise because she's just kind of like, when we come in, she's just like kind of on her bed.
She's also on her bed.
Yeah, yeah. And she says something like, I don't believe in good intentions anymore. I'm hoping for a miracle, right? So she is just somewhat, she's bored and she has no hope, and you know, their home life is just, you know, she wants something bigger, right? She wants something bigger to come into her life. Yeah. And then what happens? Her favorite Uncle Charlie comes into her life, and this is a man who's everything that like she wants to be, right? He's gregarious, he's well liked, respected, he's world traveled, he has interesting stories, people gravitate to him. And she's just utterly taken by what this man presents, to the world.
Yeah, he's like a stand-in for everything she wants her life to be.
Exactly.
Or wants out of life that she's not currently getting. I thought it was really funny that the like little conversation that she has with her father, just like, I'm just so, out of it. Our routines, the day to day,
all you ever do is talk about money.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, well, money's tight right now. he's very like practical about it, but like in like a boring practical way, and not like a malicious like bad father kind of way. And I like the quote from her that I wrote down is, "How can you talk about money when I'm talking about souls?" I love that. She's such a little emo.
Yeah, they had insufferable teenagers in the 40s too, believe it or not.
So, telegrams are out. Emo is in. It's always been there.
But Uncle Charlie comes into their lives, and suddenly the house is just, it's like a light came on.
Yeah.
And not only the house, right? Like Charlie kind of is able to dig into the town at large, right? Like later in the movie, there's even a scene where they're like, you're a bona fide, member of this town, like they basically give him the key to the fucking town, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Informally. Yeah. Let's shake hands. Like, can't wait to have a daughter and marry you someday.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. The 40s.
Unbeknownst to them, though, he carries with him a secret, one that we've been teased at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's that Alfred Hitchcock thing of like, tell the audience there's a bomb under the table, and they'll, feel tense about it. So like this whole time it's like, wait a minute, but I thought something was up with this guy, right? And then it slowly comes to light because, there's moments where he's got the newspaper, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a story about the police chasing who they believe is this serial murderer across the country. Yeah. And he tries to hide one of the pages so that the family... It's really funny to me, though, because it's like he tries to hide it so that they don't know that there's a killer about, but like there's nothing in it that would indicate that it was him by any means.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. Yeah. So the act of hiding it put them on the suspicion more than just not hiding it.
Yeah.
Going back to like these teases of what's really going on with Uncle Charlie, the whole moment when he arrives on a train, I love that shot of the train rolling in and like the smokestack coming out, because it's bright California day, and then we see like the younger brother, just little boy standing in like center of the frame, lower center frame. The train's coming by, smokestacks are billowing up, and then we see on the ground like the shadow of the smokestack just filling that sunny sidewalk.
Yeah,
filling up.
Yeah,
it comes rolling in.
And who's on the train? Uncle Charlie,
Mr. Charmer,
bringing darkness into the town of Santa Clara.
That's right. One
thing that I, you notice immediately when you start watching this movie is that it is surprisingly spry for a movie made pre-war or maybe during the war. 1943, you said it came out?
43.
The camera is moving.
Yeah.
The camera is on top of buildings. The camera is doing push-ins and pan-arounds, and it's on tracks. And like he's doing so much with this movie. Like, you as the Hitchcock head, like, tell me, like what is Hitchcock's deal, like, just as an auteur, and why do you think he considers, at least in 64 when he said that in the interview, why would he consider Shadow of a Doubt his favorite movie?
I think a lot of it has to do, so he was a very particular guy.
Yeah.
So much so that a lot of his movies are shot on sets. Like, closed sets have all those environments be controllable. A lot of Shadow of a Doubt is on location.
Uh-huh.
There are clear, like, obviously set shot scenes, you know? But, like, the train sequence, on location. A lot of the house stuff is on location. Maybe, like, a few, like, stairs, like back stairs areas are like on a set, but he like just loved this story, this dynamic so much, and these actors just like, apparently they just had great chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't feel like he had to like wrangle them in or like control any egos, so like that. So I feel like he felt more relaxed with this, and he already had like the whole story thought through in his head, so he really didn't have to like torment over like having to kill his darlings on the day. And I know that from the making of documentary on the Blu-ray for this. It was called Beyond Doubt, the making of Hitchcock's favorite film, where one of the actors says that it was just something that he already had planned in his head, and you could tell by just the way he carried himself on the set. And then Teresa Wright, who plays young Charlie, she said that when she met Hitchcock to just go over the screenplay, they sat down at his desk and he went through the entire thing. They didn't look at the script at all. He just went through it.
Oh, okay.
And like acted it out and used things on his desk as props and like started adding sound effects. Like he would do footstep sounds and stuff. So I'm trying to picture just like this jolly, plump man going, and Charlie comes up the stairs, you know? I'm tickled by that, you know? And then she said when the movie came out and like, you know, people loved it, and she's like, I've already seen this movie because he's told me it when we were sitting down together at his desk.
He had the whole thing figured out.
Before
they even got to set.
So when she watched it, she's like, yep. Mm-hmm. He definitely knew all that.
I feel like, and this is, I did a little like research into it myself. I feel like that maybe was something out of necessity because, as you said, this is a man who was used to controlling every single facet of his films, right? So much so that he wanted to shoot on sets. But because they were shooting during the war, and the movie is set, I think 2 years before the war, so that they, you know, there's no wartime, atmosphere. So it's still this idyllic, Rockwellian kind of place. It's
that necessary escapism to not constantly be reminding people of the war.
So during the war, there was actually a law that they had that stated that a film could not spend more than $5,000 building sets.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. The war boys need this.
The war effort needed the raw materials. They needed the labor force. So there was a cap put on how much you could spend to build sets. And so, and I think that fits into what you were saying, where he did a lot of this stuff on location. So having to kind of conform to the limitations put upon him changed the way he made his movies, right? And that's
probably a nice challenge.
Right. And that's probably one of the reasons he says this is one of his favorite movies, because it was just so out of step with what he was used to. And like, this is in the middle of his career. He had already done like 10, 20 movies before this.
Yeah. A lot of these. Yeah. but pre Shadow of a Doubt is kind of considered like the deeper cut stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to Notorious. I love Notorious.
But when like going back to what I was saying, like I was just struck by how much the camera is doing in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that he was shooting on set, because you're in real houses, you're on real city streets, you're contending with daylight, right? So you have these really kind of elaborate shots. One of the first ones that we noticed, you actually literally paused the movie, was I think Charlie's mother is talking. And or maybe it was Charlie herself. I don't remember.
No, it was. She was on the phone.
She was on the phone. When she hangs up, she kind of walks over to this like window kind of thing in the wall.
Yeah.
And then the camera literally comes around.
Yeah, just like arcs around with her. Because something has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Some news has been learned. Yeah. Some new shit has come to light. I saw it in your eyes, man. All right.
What are some other just like, really interesting shots from this movie that you can remember?
Yeah, like where it's just dripping with style that elevates it and makes it memorable. I'm thinking of two things right now. I really love the moment where we learn that maybe his name has been cleared. Like these FBI agents or just like detectives. They're just called detectives, but I think they're FBI agents. They're chasing him across the country, so jurisdiction wise,
yeah,
they've got to be FBI. They're like, yeah, we think we caught our guy, but he got murdered by
running into a plane propeller. I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, I think that is a Hitchcock thing too.
Yeah,
of like something so grisly. He's like, well, you're in the clear. Good news.
The other guy.
Oh, not so good news for that guy. Yeah. But that's the joke that leads up to the shot of him standing on the porch looking at young Charlie, and he's like, well, they're like, there you have it. I'm like, case closed, I guess. And he turns to go inside. Front door's still open. He walks up the stairs. We follow him in. The camera follows him in from a distance, pans up as he's walking up the stairs, and then he stops before he gets to the top because he feels something like the hairs on the back of his neck standing up or something. And he turns around, and young Charlie is in the front door frame, just looking at him. She doesn't believe it.
Right.
She's got a shadow of a doubt, I think that's the shot of the movie right there.
Exactly. Because where are we? I don't think we had gotten to it yet, but at this point in the movie, Charlie is starting to put things together, right? Yeah. This ring that her uncle gave her has the initials of a woman who was murdered, and the woman who was murdered was the victim of this Merry Widow strangler.
Yeah, the Merry Widow killer strikes again.
Yeah, the killer that they are searching, right? And so she puts that together. She realizes that the page in the paper that her uncle was trying to hide was a story about the Merry Widow strangler. Yeah. And so she's starting to think, is this man that I idolize a killer?
Right. Because she's gone, another thing we haven't mentioned, she's gone this whole movie saying like, me and my Uncle Charlie have a special connection.
Yes.
Like, I knew you were coming before I even got news of the telegram. Like, isn't that neat, Uncle? And he's like, yeah. What else do you know?
So they're playing this kind of game where, he is trying to thwart her attempts at figuring out what's happening. She's a bright girl, right? She's trying to, like, she's hoping that the man that she is looking at is her uncle and is safe and is not this killer that she's suspecting, but she's finding more and more proof mounting that he is a killer. And then, like you were saying, midway through the movie, we get this moment where, he's like, oh, okay, like They think the other guy was the killer. I'm off the hook. But she still has her doubts.
Yeah, he's just on another hook now. On one he can't shake.
And she's the only one who suspects. The only one in the country who suspects. So naturally, what then becomes his MO?
Now he's got to tie up loose ends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got to get rid of his niece.
Yeah. So he really shifts after that.
Yes.
From being like the charming, like, oh, gee shucks, like I'm just trying to be a good uncle. Like I really hope they find this guy, to start like a lot of like darker stuff comes out of him. And that reminds me of another shot that I love. And it's the dinner table scene when kind of unprompted, or maybe they ask him like, so Charlie, like you liking Santa Clara over here? He's like, yeah, it's better than the city. And those city women, those old women with all that money.
He just gets triggered by that question.
He does. And it's like a really good monologue, and it's still pretty dark even for now, just how hateful, how much venom is coming out of him. And we get this like really, really good close-up, like a push-in close-up of him like looking like 90 degrees away from the camera, or like something like that. So the camera's to the right side of his face here. So he's just going, yeah, those greedy fat women who only care about their jewelry and nothing else. Like they're barely even human. And they're like, yeah, he's like, those greedy pigs. And then someone off camera, like near the camera, says, but they're still human, aren't they, Charlie? And he looks at the camera and says, are they? That's great. That's still great.
Yeah. And then I think it's the mom, his sister, is just like the equivalent of like, okay, well, fuck. Let's talk about something else.
Yes. Like, the ladies down at the bridge club wouldn't like to hear you talk about women that way, Charlie.
Yeah, she has such a like apologetic kind of response to what he's talking about, like killing fucking widows simply because they inherited money, you know. Yeah. There's an element of this movie that I think is key to talk about before we move on to Stoker.
Sure. Yeah.
And it is the tension, the sexual tension, if you will, between Charlie and Charlie.
Which really starts from when he gives her that ring. Like, he gives her a ring.
He gives her a ring, man. So, I have a lot of trouble trying to figure this out, because on one end, I'm like, maybe to a 1940s audience, this would be more of an innocent like relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a stretch.
Maybe.
But you know, there is, and even if, you know, this is just like 2024 eyes looking back, right? It feels very inappropriate of a relationship that they have. They say there's this special connection between them, but there are these moments where they interact, and her uncle just has this kind of almost like a lust for her, you know?
Yeah.
And nothing like inappropriate, nothing sexual happens with them, you know?
No.
But there are just these moments where there's just too much of a closeness. And maybe it is Hitchcock trying to make audiences feel uneasy about this relationship. But, you know, like, there is something just off going on between them, you know?
I think that weird, like, sexual tension, right? really comes to a head when the detective investigating him just starts dating young Charlie.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, hey, that's my niece. But not in a way like, you better be like nice to her. It's like, get away from her. She's mine.
Exactly.
Kind of way.
There's a territoriality there.
Yeah. Ugh, it's weird. And backing up even a little bit more, when I say he gives her a ring, he doesn't just go, open your palms, here you go. He slides it onto her finger.
Yes.
He's like, thought you'd like that.
Blur, 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 blur. But what do you think is his true intention there, right? Like, on the surface, it can feel very kind of cringy, but like, knowing who he is, right? He's a serial murderer. He's a fucking psychopath, right? Like, what do you think he's trying to do?
I think that's the only way he knows how to like interact with women, probably.
Ooh.
Other than his sister, is through this like tension.
Almost a seduction.
Yeah.
And like the flip side, if you're thinking like the only way he knows how to have a relationship with a woman is to seduce and then murder.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the whole second half of the movie, or at least, the whole like second half of the second act is him trying to murder Charlie, right? Because we've established he knows that she at least suspects him still, right?
Yeah.
And so there are at least 2 attempts that I can remember on her life. There's the stairs,
yes.
And then he locks her in the garage with the car running.
Yes.
Is there another one?
Well, the third one is also unsuccessful, but it's the final one.
Okay, that's the end one.
Yeah.
Okay, so why is he leaving towards the end of the movie? Why is he getting on a train?
Great question. It's because she has still not let it go, but she's letting it be known in like subtle ways. In nice little Hitchcock visual flares ways. So we've already had the 2 attempts on her life, right?
Yes.
The stairs, the garage, which was right before he's supposed to go to this speech. He's supposed to give a speech somewhere. And she's desperately like talking to her mother and being like, I don't want to ride with him. Please, like, can we go somewhere else? Second attempt on her life. She ends up staying at home. They go do the speech. They come back for an after party thing. And they're like, oh, Charlie, man of the town. We all love him, don't we? And then, so she's resting upstairs. And then they've already had this conversation of, what did you do with that ring I gave you? Oh, I got rid of it. Don't worry about it. Like, yeah, that evidence is gone, uncle. But she comes back down with the ring on.
Oh, shit.
Right as he's about to make a toast. And she has her hand on the banister. And it's this across the room, like, push in to the ring. And he sees it and he's like, I think in that moment right there, he's like, I'm glad you're here. I'm leaving. So I think in that moment, he was going to make the speech of like, yeah, the town has welcomed me with open arms and I can't wait to stay. I'm here to stay. And he goes, I got to go. Whoops.
So the end of the movie is basically he's getting on a train and then like the kids all get on the train, I guess, to be like, we've never seen a train before.
Yeah.
But he somehow coerces Charlie into staying on the train and the train takes off with both of them.
Yeah. She might be on the train to like wrangle the kids. Just being kids, be like, all right, let's leave Uncle Charlie alone now. And he's like, actually, I've got something to tell you.
Yeah. He tells the kids to fuck
her.
off.
Yeah.
And then the train goes and he tries to finish the job.
He tries to Merry Widow her.
Yeah.
He tries to strangle her.
But then she gets the upper hand, throws him out the window, and
to an oncoming train.
Yes. So the one strangler they thought got fucking chopped up in a propeller.
Yeah.
He gets run over by a train.
It's like the setup to like a weird joke that you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
One killer gets killed by propellers. The other gets run over by a train. You'll never guess what happens to the third one.
So knowing what happens and the things that are, talked about in Shadow of a Doubt, right? In 2013, Park Chan-wook is making a film written by
Wentworth Miller.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is not a direct remake of Shadow of a Doubt.
No.
But rather pulls, I think, some of the more poignant kind of themes from Shadow of a Doubt into a different story.
Yes. Great way of phrasing it. I agree.
So Stoker is about a young woman named India, and her father has died in a horrible car accident on the day of her 18th birthday.
Yes.
And at the same time, this uncle that she's never known anything about, or rather has just her whole life has been off traveling the world, right? Another thing, that's one of the first things like brought over, right, from Shadow of a Doubt. The globe-trotting uncle comes to town for the funeral. And at first, she is very apprehensive, right? Because he is a stranger, but very almost immediately, he starts to kind of try and slip in to this space left by her dead father, right?
Yeah.
And she's very suspicious of that from the get-go.
Yeah, because he's very much, he shows up like, this place, like he was always expecting to be here. And she's like, who are you? Really? I don't know you. But I guess my mother says you're living here now.
Yeah. And but then there's also this kind of air about him. The way that he looks at India is one of, it's kind of like a lion staring at a fucking gazelle. Like, he wants her. Like, he wants to possess her, right? Every time he looks at her, that's the look you see on his face. And it's very uncomfortable, right? Because he's supposed to be your uncle.
Yeah. That sexual tension line that Hitchcock kind of danced around.
Yeah.
Park Chan-wook says, nah, they want to fuck a bit.
Yeah. 11?
Yeah, whoop! But yeah, that so I think that's a nice little spin on Shadow of a Doubt, right? Where it's the niece has a connection with the uncle that she's like, yeah, we have the special connection. Like, don't you know about it? That's played out in Matthew Good's eyes in Stoker as Uncle Charlie, as he has that. He's like, we have a special connection. And I can't wait for you to find out what it is.
Exactly. He's got plans for India. Almost as if he's come into their lives for India. But like, you know, the beginning of the movie and well into the middle of the movie is very much it, like, you think he is seducing her mother, played wonderfully by Nicole Kidman, right?
Yes.
And he's playing into her pain of, like, you know, not only has she lost a husband, but she's lost a husband who, you know, she really lost long before he even died, right? Like, there's this beautiful, beautiful moment where she's talking to India about Uncle Charlie, and she goes, he reminds me of your father when he was young. Yeah. You know, and it's just this painful fucking line where, like, she has been a prisoner in this life because they fell out of love a long time ago, you know?
They fell out of love, and now she's kind of like stuck with India, who she's had a tenuous relationship with at best.
Yeah.
She seems to always be bringing up, like, well, you've always enjoyed your father's company more, all those hunting trips you went on with him, like not subtle about, like, I'm jealous of all those times you preferred your father, who I don't love anymore.
Exactly.
You never even let me touch you. She doesn't like being touched.
Mm-hmm. And there's a great quote from Park Chan-wook where he says that he wanted to give India and Evie this sense of a princess and a queen being trapped in a castle. And I think that is so, because the king is dead, right? And you have the matriarch and the daughter of the family who do not connect at all, and they're all they have left. But then you throw in this Uncle Charlie figure who seems to be seducing the mother, right? It has a kind of like Hamlet feel to it almost, right? But then at the same time, there's this subtext of, but what I'm really interested in is you.
Yeah.
India. So what's the first moment we start to think there's fucking something up with this guy?
The first moment that comes to my mind is India overhears a conversation with him and their like housekeeper.
Yeah.
And we get like little spurts of like, she says she's been doing something for him for all these years. Mm-hmm. Like, I kept you up to date. Like,
yeah,
you can't do this to me. Like, stop. Like just leave me alone.
And that's even preceded by the first time that this woman, she's like the boss of all the housekeepers, right?
Yeah.
She sees him and is just kind of struck by his presence.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that moment.
She knows he's not supposed to even be there.
Yeah, during the wake.
Yes.
It's like, how did you even find this place?
Exactly. And then they're having this hushed conversation that India kind of overhears. I actually needed you to put the subtitles on because I couldn't like fully hear what it was.
Yeah. I have a story for that off mic.
Okay. And so that's the first thing. And then there's this really kind of like, again, like a predatory thing he does where he tells India to he comes back to the house with ice cream and he says, India, why don't you take it down to the freezer?
Okay.
And you don't know why, right? It's just such a like benign thing to say, right?
Yeah. No one's doing anything else. They're just hanging out in the
kitchen.
They could do it too, but he's like, do it. I want you to do what your uncle says. And she's like, do what your uncle says, India.
Mm-hmm. And she takes the ice cream down and she has the sense that there's something up with the freezer, but she just moves beyond it and just tosses the ice cream in, right?
Yeah.
Later, another relative shows up.
Yeah.
And it's Uncle Charlie's aunt. So India's great aunt. And she does the same fucking thing. As soon as she sees Charlie, there's fear. There's like you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But Charlie is so charming that the mom, Nicole Kidman's character, is just like, no, he's here. He's here to stay. And if you have anything to say about it, then I don't want to hear it. You know?
You know who shouldn't be here? Someone who just knocked at my door 5 minutes ago. You.
Yes.
Ginny. I love that scene because now that I'm thinking about it, it apes that beautiful arcing shot that we loved from Shadow of a Doubt when she gets the phone call. There's a lot of that going on in those dinner table conversations.
Yes.
When the mood shifts, we literally pan behind another character and move to the opposite shoulder.
The camera does a really great job of telegraphing the politics of what's happening at this dinner table, you know?
Yeah.
And you get the sense the aunt has something that she needs desperately to talk to Evie about, right? But, because of, the politics, again, she can't just out with it, right?
Yeah.
So she gets sent home, and she tells India to call her.
Mm-hmm. And Charlie, trying to be ever present, like trying to get his claws and everything, is like, which hotel are you staying at?
Uh-huh.
So he can tell the taxi driver, right? Ostensibly, so he could tell the taxi driver. And then when she gets in the taxi, we cut to her in the taxi. She's looking back and then says to the taxi driver, is there anywhere else I can
go? And so all of this builds up to this really well done montage, where every character is doing something interesting. And I love that about this movie. It is the big kind of reveal moment, right? So you have the great aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Her cell phone's missing. So she is going to a phone booth to try and call
India.
Right?
Yeah.
Or she's trying to call the house, right?
Right.
You have Nicole Kidman's character who is kind of sneaking up to Charlie's room with some wine glasses
Oh, yeah.
to get it on.
Yeah.
Right?
Now that old bitch is gone.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You have India going down to the basement to get some ice cream.
She's following up on that hunch
Exactly.
from earlier.
But we don't see what Charlie's up to.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-mm.
So you have all of these, it's kind of these things that they're all like just moments that are just happening. They're playing out in their own universes, but you get the sense the way that the montages, they're all gonna meet, right?
The thread that's really connecting all of those is an audio thread. It's this like nature documentary.
Yes.
That's going on in the background. Like the hunter stalks its prey.
It's on the TV in Charlie's room, which he is noticeably absent from.
Yeah.
And it's on the TV in the aunt's motel room.
Yeah.
And we keep cutting back and forth between all these different moments, and then Nicole Kidman, she gets to Charlie's room and he's not in there, and so she starts snooping in his shit. India gets to the freezer and she opens it up and gets a hunch. She's like digs deeper into the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
The aunt gets to the phone and she notices someone is walking towards her, right?
Yeah.
And India cuts back to India and she pulls back all the shit in the freezer, and it's the dead housekeeper.
Yeah.
Who was last seen talking to Charlie.
And what does she not do?
Scream. She's not bothered by it.
She is unbothered. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's just,
And then we cut back to Charlie coming up to the aunt in the phone booth, and he opens it and he looks incredulous, and he's like, I called the hotel and they said that you weren't there. And he has her cell phone.
yeah.
Again, he set it up as a pretense,
Yeah. But he looks genuinely hurt.
Yes. And I think that's key about his portrayal of the Charlie character. He's very childlike, these childlike moments.
When he's on his heels.
Uh-huh.
When he's not in control. Why would you do this to me?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. And then my favorite shot of the movie is, so it's like an over the shoulder shot over Charlie's shoulder on the aunt. She's fearful. The camera comes down to his waist.
Mm.
And there's an importance on this belt, right?
Which was hinted at during the dinner conversation. I that shot sticks with me in the dinner conversation with the belt.
Mm-hmm.
When he's just about before they're about to dismiss on Jenny, he's like, I'll go ahead and call a cab. And he gets up, and as he like rounds his chair, we hear the belt go.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It is his brother's belt.
Yeah.
And, it can be a metaphor for a lot of different things.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think the one that's at the forefront is like he's literally wearing his brother's clothes. And so he's taking it over.
They don't fit either.
Yes. That's so good. That's so fucking good. And so the camera comes down to his waist. You can see the belt unthreading through the belt loops.
Yeah. Flap, flap, flap,
from
flap.
right to left.
Yeah.
And then we come up the other side of him, and he has the belt in like a strangulation method. He has the belt in a manner that he's going to strangle her, and then he strangles her.
Yeah. I think it just like pushes her into the phone booth. The door closes. That's really all we get from that.
It's all you need.
Yeah. It's not what happened. It's, what happened.
So, we have been revealed a lot of shit. A lot of new shit has come to light about this Charlie character. And you're absolutely right. What does India not do? She doesn't tell her mom.
Nope.
She doesn't go to the police. She's perhaps even more intrigued by this man, and her attitude towards him softens, right?
Yeah.
She's more open to him.
That's what he wanted me to see, is the subtext there. So then, yeah, when even like kind of, no, definitely weirder stuff happens, like the piano scene, which I wrote down as the first sex scene.
It is hot, and there's not a lick of nudity in it.
No.
But you need to remind yourself that this is a niece uncle situation.
You must remind yourself.
You have to. Don't forget.
As soon as you find yourself going, oh yeah. No.
It's like that scene in God, what is it? It's Jay and Silent Bob. he does like he lives like the dick sucking like movement, and he's like, nah.
And he does just like, no, it's for clits instead.
Yeah.
Definitely not that. Yeah.
He needs to remind himself he's straight. So yeah, the suspicion breaks way. The suspicion gives way to desire.
Yeah.
Which comes to a head, I think, at a point when, in a lot of ways, this movie is a coming of age story, right? And so I think the piano scene serves as India's kind of sexual awakening, right?
Yeah.
Because she, up until this point, has been such an asexual character. Right?
Yeah.
An A personality character, really. Like she's so kind of down here, And then she goes to meet with a guy at her high school who I think, no, he wasn't her bully. He was a guy that was like,
yeah,
leave her alone,
Yeah, the bully first, like we get a first that bully first shows up in like her art class, where she's like drawing some kind of pattern, an art class hosted by Harmony Korine. Plays the art teacher in this movie. That's awesome. And then he comes up with like a picture of a crude picture of her naked drawing. He's like, what do you think about mine? And she just continues drawing the pattern on it.
Yeah. And she's not drawing the still life that they have modeling. Right. She's drawing this like it's just a pattern.
Yeah. Within the vase.
Yeah.
That's holding like these flowers
exactly.
that everyone's supposed to be drawing. So she's honing in on those finer details that no one else might see or pick up on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she has another interaction with that guy who's like, hey, Stoker.
Yeah.
Probably what your mom's doing to your uncle, am I right? It's really low hanging fruit joke, but I love that he's like, that's the best I've got. Yeah, and then she fights back because she has like a sharpened pencil. So she fights back with a sharpened pencil because he goes to punch her, and she just kind of like gets him in the knuckles there, and then this other guy, his character's name is Whip, comes up and is like, I like what you did there. Yeah. Fuck that guy, am I right? She's like, yeah. So like, you want to hang out sometime? And then they meet up at...
It's like outside a diner or something.
Yeah, some kind of diner.
Mm-hmm.
And
they go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah, and this is after the piano scene.
Yes.
So now she's like, okay, let me broaden my horizons here a little bit.
Yeah.
While I'm on the piano scene, I want to mention that there was a scene with Charlie and Evie, India's mother, where they're trying to play piano together, and it's not very good.
It is not sexy.
Yeah.
It is clumsy, and you get the sense that Charlie's bored by the whole, exercise.
Yeah, because he's pretending like he doesn't know how to play, and she's like, "Here, Charlie, here's how you do it." Like, India, look, we're having fun. And he's like, "Yeah, come join us, India."
We both looked at each other like,
yeah, and then we
way?
did the thing where our hands are
the sexual tension is here.
It's rising. It's through the roof. But there isn't that tension between her and
Not yet.
and this whip guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So they're taking a walk through the woods. They're going deeper into the woods, past this playground. I mentioned the playground because she makes a reference, which I think is an intentional reference.
Is
to
it the
Shadow of a
slide?
Doubt. No, that's a good one though. We'll come back to that. We'll definitely come back to that. I was referring to she makes a comment that says, you ever feel like a photograph of yourself taken? You ever feel like your life is a photograph of yourself taken when you don't know you're being photographed? And I thought that was interesting because Uncle Charlie in Shadow of a Doubt notoriously doesn't like his picture being taken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the FBI agents show up to like take pictures of the life.
And he gets fucking pissed.
Yeah, he's like, give me the film right now. So they're walking deeper into the woods, and then what happens with this whip guy?
He makes a move on her, right? Like he's normal, teenage boy. Just like I'm gonna go in heavy, right? Yeah. And it has none of the tension, none of the grace of what she's trying to replicate with her uncle, so like she's trying to take out this kind of feeling on someone who's not her fucking uncle. So props to India for trying. She went,
oh yeah, no,
yeah, and immediately she's not into it, right? Yeah. But he is a bad man and tries to force himself on her, right? And then almost immediately, fucking Uncle Charlie steps out of the shadows and beats the shit out of him first.
Yeah, beats the shit out of him and then hogties him with the belt.
Yes.
And he calls attention to it again. He's like, "Good thing your father's belt is too big.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been able to do this with mine. I wouldn't have enough notches."
And so, the movie then just takes a halting turn where he is like, he invites India to hurt him, right?
Yeah.
And then she kicks him a couple times, but then he kind of like breaks free and kicks the feet out under India and kind of like crawls on top of her. But then Charlie takes the belt and wraps it around his neck.
Yeah. It's a brazen move for him to do that when he's outnumbered and he's already been hogtied.
Yeah. But he's going to go for the easiest, prey. Yeah. So we're served up another montage.
Yes. Thank you for calling attention to it. Cause I'm like, yeah, the events are cool. The montage makes it cooler.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition of where we're at currently. And then now this becomes a flashback. Because currently she's in the shower.
She's huddled in the shower, right?
Yeah.
And, you get the sense immediately that they fucking killed this boy, right?
Yeah.
And like she's in the shower and she's crying because of what she was forced to take part in.
Yeah, she's washing the dirt off. She's just standing in that dirt water.
And as the killing progresses in the flashback, we're shown more of India, more of where she's at in this current moment. And again, it's this kind of thing of two unalike things just careening towards each other, right? Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
The momentum of the cutting.
Yeah, it's like a chemical reaction, like what happens when these two disparate elements meet.
Yeah. And it gets to the point where Charlie wraps the belt around Whip's neck and pulls back, and his neck just snaps.
Yeah.
Right? And in that moment, we cut to India and we realize she's not crying. She's masturbating.
In the shower.
And has an orgasm.
Yep.
At the exact moment that, and she's recalling this memory, right? So you realize she's thinking about this moment as she's masturbating.
Yeah.
And she comes right when his neck snaps.
Yeah. She's not, oh God, what have I done? She's like, I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah. And so this is where the movie takes a fucking screeching turn, and you realize it is not about sexual tension. It is about two predators who can sense this thing in each other.
Yeah. It's not a lion looking at a lamb. It's a lion looking at like a cub.
Exactly. And the desire he had for her, right? That you mistake for sexual desire is one of, we are two like beings and we're soulmates in a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, it's such a great like turn in a movie. I can't think of another movie that has a great kind of like, I thought I knew what was happening in this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like, well, they're eventually going to have sex and I'm going to rationalize it in my brain for it to be okay. No, they are murdering together.
Yeah. This is not a French movie. And then, the rest of the movie basically plays out where, Charlie is trying to take India under his wing, right? And you realize he's a killer. He's killed before. And she's really into it. She's like, I want to run away with you, away from my mother, and we'll go and be fucking killers together, basically.
Yeah. But there's still a question she has unanswered. Is like, why now?
Uh-huh.
And she learns that by going into her father's office and finding these letters.
Yes.
These unsent, undelivered letters?
She had this ritual with her dad,
Yes.
where on her birthday he would hide
like a box.
Presents, right? And I think we realize at some point in the movie that it wasn't her dad, it was actually the housekeeper.
Yeah. I think that's early on in the movie, actually.
Yeah. And her present on her 18th birthday was a key.
Yeah. She was expecting shoes.
Yes.
Because every other year it's been these same saddle shoes.
Yes.
But just a different size.
And so, it not like it's like super important, but like you're left to wonder what's the key for, right? And I think the key is for his desk.
It is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of realize, oh, the housekeeper who was in coordination with Uncle Charlie left the key so that India could discover these letters he had been sending her entire life.
Yeah. Gave her some agency to like find that out because no one else was going to tell her.
Exactly.
And yeah, let her decide what she's going to do with that information.
And she reads all these letters, and they're stories where he is just like, I'm thinking of you as
he's gushing about her.
Yeah. As I'm in Rome, or like I'm sailing the Mediterranean,
all these wild, fantastical visages. He's
of this life that she has always thought that he was doing, right? Globetrotting.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I've got these letters. I love them. I cherish them. And then she drops one going up the stairs, and then sees on the back of the envelope is the real address that they were sent from.
The Crawford Institute in Pennsylvania.
And she looks it up, and it is an insane asylum.
Yeah.
And you realize, oh my God, he's been sending her all these letters this whole time saying he's globetrotting, when really he has just been in a fucking padded cell.
Just when you think you know a guy, right? You kill a couple people with him, but he still keeps secrets. You know? Men.
And then, eventually the truth comes out. He was in the institute because when he was a child, killed his little brother by digging a hole in a sandbox and letting his little brother go down the slide into the hole.
Yeah.
You
walked him up the stairs and let him go down the slide into the hole.
And then that's the dark family secret that you understand why all of these people are horrified when they see that he's here.
We locked you away and threw away the key, Charlie. Why the hell are you here?
Yeah.
And then, so there's that element. And then one of their like various meetings that they've had, they keep having these rendezvous on the staircase. This grand like winding staircase that goes up. Which is always like framed as like a power play. He's usually at the top of the stairs looking down at her.
Mm-hmm.
And like as the movie goes on, she like challenges that position by like meeting him at his level, or just challenges it right on the stairs. So,
and in this moment, she's like midway up the staircase.
Yeah. And I think that's when we get the reveal that I don't think he outright tells her. I think this is like a trick of the movie.
Yeah.
Of like she intuits because he has like these sunglasses that her dad always wore.
She calls it out.
She's at the top of the stairs when
Yeah.
he walks in the front door wearing those sunglasses and puts it together that
my dad would only wear these glasses when he was driving.
Yep.
And if he was in a car accident that burned him up and the car, why the fuck are these glasses still here?
Yeah. Cue the scene of him getting picked up by his brother
from the Crawford Institute.
Yeah.
His brother, played by, what's that actor's name?
Hold on, I have it. It's a good name.
It's a good name.
It's a good name. Dermot Mulroney.
Dermot Mulroney. Women love him.
Yeah.
He's excellent in this movie. And he's telling him, I've set you up in New York. You can go have your own life. All this stuff. Here's some money. Good luck. And this little boy image comes back and he's like, but I thought I was going to your house.
Yeah. So I'm not meeting India?
And Dermot Mulroney's like, fuck no, you're not.
Yeah. He's like,
you know?
I don't know what to tell you, man, but like, you killed our brother kind of thing.
And the psychopath, the predator that he is, somehow is able to muster up vomit. This is such terrible news. He gets out of the car to go throw up into the stream and finds a rock.
Yeah.
And then comes back to the car and beats his only remaining brother to death in the car. And then presumably sets it up to where it's a car accident or whatever.
Yeah.
But he takes his glasses, and that's how India puts it together.
Mm-hmm. That's when he propositions her with, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Because he still thinks he has the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with us knowing that information, there's no way. But she plays along.
But there's one last string.
Yeah. What is it?
Their mother.
Oh, yeah.
Who has their mother, her mother, India's mother. Mommy. Who is still like desperately in love with Charlie at this point, but also has noticed some weird shit between him and India. So she's just doesn't know what to think about this. Yeah. And I think this is like, in a way, and this is a stretch. I'm admitting this, but this is a stretch. In a way, Evie is a little bit like, little Charlie's character in Shadow of a Doubt, where she puts things together towards the end of the movie, but she's still leaving room for herself to be convinced that everything is okay, right? And I think that plays out in one of the last scenes in the movies where like she's like, I know there's something the fuck up with you. I want you out of my house and away from me and my daughter. But there's still a little bit of her that is open to being seduced still. And he does it. He fucking walks right in and they kiss again. And then he fucking hogties her. And he's like, India, I got another one, you know?
Get the bags. Come up the stairs. You got to see this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then how does it end for good old Uncle Charlie?
Gets one right in the dome.
Yeah.
Blood splatters those lush red walls too.
India ascends the stairs with her father's rifle.
Yeah.
That she hunted with.
And importantly, that we kind of skipped over a little bit, these heels that he gifted her.
Yes. She's now come into her own. She's a woman, you know? She's a woman in the sense of her girlhood, her womanhood, but she's also a killer in her own right.
Yeah.
You know? And then she fucking blows him away.
Yeah. Her first like true solo kill.
Yeah.
Is thanks for showing me the way.
And then at the end, she gets one more in, killing the sheriff, and she goes off to be her own, you know, traveling killer. Park Chan-wook says, rather than leaving her nest in search of a commendable, positive, beautiful set of values, she leaves as a devil in search for evolution into being complete evil incarnate. Yes. Because he looked at the house as her nest, you know, and, you know, not to mention all the fucking like bird imagery in the film.
Yeah. That's what they hunt on their father-daughter hunting trips is birds.
So, you know, I like when it comes to putting these two movies side by side, you know, I think Shadow of a Doubt did the heavy lifting of like, you know, here's this idea of this weird relationship between an uncle and his niece, and the uncle has something that he is hiding, you know, and there's a power dynamic. There's a struggle between them, you know. But then I think Stoker comes in and is like, here's like a whole new layer, you know, of playing with that dynamic and, you know, making it more stylized, but then like really playing with your kind of perception of that sexual tension, you know?
Yeah. And instead of just like Charlie having something to hide, I think by this time in like film history, we can put that together.
Right.
We're not like dumb. We were kind of expecting that. We just wanted to see how that unfolded. But now it's like India, the niece, had something to hide too, that she was kind of running away from, and then by the end embraces that that devil within her. I picked that up too on the behind the scenes for Stoker when they were talking about like what Park Chan-wook brought to it. And I just want to mention that they constantly refer to him as Director Park, which I love that. I love that that's like a Korean director thing. At least from what I can tell, is that Americans will refer to them as Director Park. Like they do that with Bong Joon-ho too. They say Director Bong.
Oh, okay.
I love that. I love that it's just Director Park.
Yeah.
And yeah, he brought in a lot of style that I guess was hinted at in the original screenplay by Wentworth Miller, but he brought in things that like you definitely remember, like the whole color palette of the house.
Yeah.
The whole idea of the saddle shoes is a Park Chan-wook idea. I love that. It's so good.
I thought they were bowling shoes, to be honest.
I did too. No, this is actually a newer discovery of like what they're actually
So what does that
called.
mean? What does that mean? Like what do they mean as a metaphor?
I don't know what the actual like saddle shoes themselves mean, but I think he just really likes the look of them.
Okay.
And that they probably, like on first glance, if you don't know what they are, they're kind of like kid shoes. So then to have her have kid shoes all these life, to have her have kid shoes for most of her life and then be given a pair of heels.
Well, yeah, they're very asexual, right? Like not asexual. They're very non-gendered kind of shoes.
Non-gendered. There's an innocence to them.
Yeah.
Where like the heels, I think, speak of a little more adult,
Yeah.
more mature, coming into your own kind of thing. You have to know how to walk in them.
Right.
You can't just slip them on and walk like you normally do.
As you and I well know.
Yeah, yeah. And not to brag, but I was a natural. But another thing from the documentary for Stoker is he also had the whole movie in his head, like Hitchcock did. Everyone was saying, like, yeah, he brought all of that to the table. He storyboarded the entire thing. But if things needed to be changed, he was like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
But that's how we get like these beautiful transitions we see throughout the movie. Like the hair combing that like fades into like the grass.
Like the field, yeah.
The field and the grass when they're hunting. We get the
I love
shot.
as the bus is driving away.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like it shows passage of time in such a fucking amazingly brilliant way.
Yeah.
Bus is driving away. India's walking down a street alone, and then that fades into she's walking up the driveway to her house.
Yeah.
Excellent
Yeah.
filmmaking.
So that's how we get those brilliant moments of style that I think Hitchcock, were this movie like remade in his lifetime in the exact same way, he'd be like, yeah.
Hitchcock would have fucking creamed his pants to to achieve.
Yeah. So before we wrap this all up, I actually want to play a game.
You mentioned there was a game. Okay.
Yeah. Kind of forgot about it until now, didn't you? But yeah, let's play. What do you know about Uncle Charlie?
Okay.
So this game is designed to test your powers of recall. Which Charlie was a sexpot and which was a despot? Or better yet, why choose? Over a series of 10 questions, all relating to your favorite uncle, you can answer Shadow when you believe the Uncle Charlie in Shadow of a Doubt is more fitting.
Okay.
Or Stoker when you believe I'm describing the Uncle Charlie featured in Stoker. But beware, both could be a valid answer.
All right. Okay. I think I've got this.
Okay.
I think it's in the fucking bag.
Okay.
Let's go.
Question 1. I arrive unexpectedly and take up residence with my immediate family. My niece's mother finds me simply charming and is upset at the prospect of me leaving. I end up meeting my end by my niece's own hands when I think I have outsmarted everyone. Who am I?
David Lynch. I think this one is Shadow Charlie.
Wrong. Both.
It's okay.
I know. What's your argument for Shadow?
My argument for Shadow is that India is not upset at the prospect of him leaving. I think she doesn't want anything to do with him when he comes.
Yeah. So it's my niece's mother finds me simply charming and is upset at the prospect of me leaving.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have it.
Was that your only qualm with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have been like, it's both of them.
Okay. Maybe that was just a weird phrasing of the question on my part.
Uh-huh.
For a while, I really debated this one.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, technically, the train kills Charlie in Shadow of a Doubt.
Uh-huh.
And the gun kills him in Stoker, but I didn't want to invite it's the gun that kills people.
I mean,
kind of thing.
At the hands of, there's a person who's responsible for him.
Yeah, he didn't walk in front of the train. He didn't walk in front of the bullet.
Yeah. Okay.
So both.
All right.
Question 2. I am wanted by the law for murder. Who am I?
Shadow Charlie.
Correct. In Stoker, Charlie is a murderer, but has already served his time for murder and is not actively a wanted criminal.
Right.
Question 3. I like to strangle people, and I have a specific victim type. Who am I?
Shadow Charlie.
Correct. In both movies, strangling is the preferred MO, but in Stoker, Charlie is less selective about his victims since he kills at least 3 males.
Yeah. He's kind of an opportunistic killer.
Yeah. Whereas Shadow is clearly the merry widow killer, right? He's not a merry whatever the male equivalent of that. Widower. Yeah. Widower. Yeah. Doesn't have the right ring to it.
He's a married brother killer. If anything, that's his specific type.
Right. Yeah. Two brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very small pool of people.
You ran out of brothers.
You're done.
Question 4. I am a smooth talker and I share a certain hypersensitivity with my niece. And I reference our special connection all the time. Who am I?
You're both Charlies.
Wrong. It's Stoker. So in Shadow, it is young Charlie that is convinced she has a special connection with her uncle and is the one always talking about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Also, I don't think Charlie in Shadow has like a weird thing. Like, I don't want my picture taken.
Yeah.
I don't think she's like that. But in Stoker, they both don't like to be touched. When his brother comes to pick him up at the mental asylum, I think he tries to hug him, and Charlie just like takes a step back. Like, no, I'm not ready.
The nurse tries to hug him.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was more of a, you know how I read that?
How did you read that?
I read that as he knows how to be charming, right? So he has utterly convinced this nurse who is charged with his imprisonment, right?
Yeah.
He's utterly charmed her, and she's actually sad he's leaving. Yeah. So she goes to hug him, but he steps back as a like, don't show how familiar we are in front of my brother. You know? Okay. That's how I kind of read it.
Okay.
Anyways,
that's a valid reading. Okay, question 6. Question 6. Wait. Nope, question 5. I phrased these almost identically. I am a smooth talker and I share a special condition with my niece. I allude to this all the time. Who am I?
Stoker Charlie.
Shadow. So in Stoker,
what?
Did I phrase this wrong?
Because I feel like Stoker Charlie is the one who's like,
oh yes, yes.
We're you and me, we're two peas in a pod, you know.
Yep. It's Stoker.
Okay.
I did a poor job editing this. Apparently, don't edit at night. Okay, you were right. Points on the board for Jake. Sorry. Question 6. These are all correct. I'm doing a quick skim on them. These are all correct now. Question 6. Stairs are neat, and I like having dramatic conversations on them. Who am I?
Fuck, that's a hard one. I'm gonna say Stoker Charlie.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I think I've mentioned them a few times, but there are pivotal moments that happen on stairs
in both movies.
Yeah, but they're mostly visual drivers in Shadow. Like, goes up the stairs, turns around, she's there. The ring on the hand on the banister. Whereas Stoker, a lot more like dialogue, confrontation happens on stairs. So that's why it's Stoker. Question 7. I am still suffering from a traumatic event that happened in my childhood. My sibling tells my niece I always acted differently afterwards. Who am I?
Both Charlies. No. It's Shadow.
Nice. Good save. Yes. So it's Shadow because Charlie kills his younger brother in Stoker, which is traumatic to say the least. But his other brother, Richard, is dead when the movie starts and does not reveal any such insight.
There's no one to talk about it. Yeah.
Question 8. When my niece's safety is threatened, I am close by to help. Who am I?
I want to say both, but I think the correct answer is Stoker.
Good man. It is Stoker. I was trying to trick you there. It didn't work. In Shadow, Uncle Charlie is close by, but he is the one threatening young Charlie's safety.
Yeah.
So he's not there to help. He's just checking in to be like, did it work? Question.
Shit.
Yeah, shit when it doesn't. Question 9. My relationship to my niece is a patrilineal one. Who am I?
That's a fucking word.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that what that word
versus matrilineal.
means. Patrilineal. Oh, okay. My relationship with my niece is patrilineal. Stoker.
Yes. In Shadow, young Charlie's mother is related. Young Charlie's mother is related to Uncle Charlie, whereas India's father is related to Uncle Charlie and Stoker.
Right.
Question 10. Final question. Although I've been a pretty absent uncle, you can't say I've never given my niece a gift. Who am I?
Both.
Nice. That one didn't fool you for a second.
No.
Both. Charlie gives young Charlie a ring from his latest victim in Shadow, and Charlie gives India the same saddle shoes every year for her birthday in Stoker.
Yes.
Thank you for playing. I was not keeping track of score, but, you know, I think you won. I think you crushed it.
I think I got maybe a good B-.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to call B+.
Well, thank you. All right, guys. Thank you for watching Shadow of a Doubt and Stoker with us. And if you haven't seen these movies, definitely give them a watch. I don't think either of them have a boutique release, but that's okay because they're just damn good movies and they're readily available. Join us next time when we will be discussing two of our favorite Toms. We've already discussed one of our favorite Toms. That is Tom Atkins.
Yes.
But there's two more in the chamber. And one of them made our favorite Friday the 13th movie. And the other one made our favorite Psycho movie.
Yeah. So another Hitchcock, another Friday the 13th. We can't help ourselves. We're going to talk about it. We're really excited about this one. So please tune into that one.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.